Everyone, it's Joe Ash, also known as Jabaspie, here with the first and what's most likely going to be a long line of videos in regards to taking my computer from the pre-built HP that it was into what eventually will be this beautiful monstrosity of computery goodness, custom water-cooled loop, SLI, multi sort of video card sort of, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, something much nicer into this beautiful sort of thing for what I want it to be. And so part of that process is that it's going to be a process. Honestly, with having a family and other obligations, I don't have the ability to just go out and get all of the parts that I want to right now and immediately put together my dream machine. So it is something that's going to take some time. And this video is the first in that long line of videos to get that done. Now, I want to get something out of the way. First of all, when we get into the meat of the video, you're going to notice that the quality is not that great. The image itself is pretty good, I think. The sound is okay. The main thing is the framing. Half of my head is missing some of the time. Honestly, this is just me starting out. This is the first video of this type that I've done, and I'm still getting used to how to do it in such a way that it doesn't look terrible. So I apologize about that. Bear with me on this. I wanted to put it up simply because this is the beginning of this process. I've never done anything as far as building a computer is concerned before, and there are definitely some things that I learned during this process, some things I would have done differently, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So the theme for this build is Vader. Yeah, I know. Obvious nerd go-to, right? Darth Vader. Ooh, big surprise there. The reason I'm going with this is honestly because Star Wars is something that's very important to me. It's a key point in my life. I know a lot of people share that. For me, the reason that it is because I am actually a high-functioning autistic person. I had what was once called Asperger's, now basically just high-functioning autism. I'll eventually get to it. And there's several things that means. For me in particular, a lot of how I learned to interact and function in a social environment had to do with actually watching and imitating other people doing it. And that included things such as movies and TV shows and even video games and things like that. Now, look, I understand. Not necessarily the best example of how to function in a social environment with other people all the time, right? Right. But it's the only thing I had with which I could watch on a repetitive basis and kind of study it and figure it out and stuff like that. So one of the movies that I watched a lot was Star Wars: A New Hope. In fact, I was obsessed with it. Honestly, I watched it every day for an entire year. I'm not joking. 365 days a year, I watched the entire movie through and through. So it became kind of a key point in my life. Even to the point where my immediate family now, even it's become kind of a central figure in all of our lives as well. To the point where it's something that my wife has actually started decorating the house with various things of Darth Vader and or Star Wars. It's even to the point now where my middle child is all of my children are, but my middle child, well, let's just ask her, sweetie, who do you want to marry when you grow up? Yeah. Anyway, So you can obviously see why it's such a big deal in all of our lives. That being said, um, I am so looking forward to this. It's going to be so exciting. I'm not going to delay it any longer. Let's get into the meat of it. Let's get into it. Let's do it. Yeah! Okay, so here we are outside the house because we are going to look inside this guy right here and see just how bad it is on the inside, if it needs to be cleaned or not. So let's take a look. All right, just pull this off here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Nope, looks good from here. Oh, boy. All right, well, let's get cracking. All right, well, it certainly looks better. That's for sure. There's some more cleaning that could be done, but it looks a lot better. Oh, now comes the fun and scary part. Let's get that bad boy PSU and GPU installed. I hope I do this right. Okay, so this is the exciting part. I have never, I've never built a computer. On top of that, I have never purchased computer components before, so this entire adventure's been kind of a new thing for me. Now, I'm going with the GTX 970. One, because it fit well within budget as far as bang for the buck, what I was looking for, because I really wanted something that would last for a while until I could upgrade it even more. And then on top of that, I also wanted something that wouldn't drain the wallet too much. And thankfully, this was a good go-between. I'm going with the Gigabyte Extreme simply because benchmarks show it to be one of the best 970s out there, and Gigabyte is a well-known name, and so this is exciting for me, not just because it's the first time doing anything like this, but because of what it is. I mean, it's really awesome. So let's dig in to this bad boy and see what we have here. All right. Oh my, what is this? Ooh, extreme gaming. Flashy, flashy. All right, let's see if we can get this open. Oh, there's the magic. There's the magic. Okay, be very careful with that. And let's see what we have in here. Oh, good. You know what? I'm going to be sweating while I do this, so I think having a sweatband is good call. Gigabyte, good call. I'll go ahead and put that on right now, actually, because this is gonna be interesting. All right, and then what else do we have in here? Okay, so it looks like we got a little. I think this might be metal, but a little sticker. Maybe we can show our Gigabyte pride. And then it looks like an 8 to 2.6 adapter, possibly. Or it's something completely different, and I just don't know what I'm talking about. Like I said, first time I'm doing this, so. All right. Let's go ahead and get this graphics card out of here and look at all of the joy that shall be coming my way and yours by proxy. All right. First, get this tape off of here because I don't want it mucking up the beauty that is inside. So pretty. There it is. There it is, the Gigabyte Extreme Gaming 970 WindForce. That is I love the back plate. There we go. I love the back plate. That is just really slick looking. Yeah. Okay, well, now let's open the other thing that you haven't seen just yet, because obviously the computer that I have is an HP. It's a pre-built, and it shh, don't tell anyone. It didn't have a discrete graphics card in it to begin with. It was just running off onboard graphics. So obviously we're looking at a huge jump in performance. Look, I understand that on a pre-built system, it's the AMD A10 6700 platform. It's their the A10 is, they have the onboard graphics card. It's a decent PC. It's a quad core, like 3.5. But obviously there's going to be some bottlenecking that it's going to create for the graphics card. I'm not going to be able to get the absolute max performance I can out of this. But I'm not rich, so I have to incrementally upgrade certain components, and since it didn't have a graphics card, but it does have 16 gigabit or 12 gigabits of RAM, and it's got 2 terabytes hard drive space, and the processor is not a complete waste, then it felt like the discrete graphics card was the way to go. However, this requires a little bit more power from the PSU. So in order to take care of that, there's something else that I got with this, so as to keep this thing running. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so camera's probably shifted around a little bit. I'm still kind of getting recording and everything down to a science, but this was the component I was talking about, the Corsair HX 1000i. Now, again, the 1000i, for when you total up the components of what I have in there, I don't need a 1000 watt power supply. However, what I'm doing is getting a power supply that can not only handle what I needed to do now, but what I wanted to do in the future, because there are going to be more components going to be getting to build the computer I would like to build, which I've already named and come up with a scheme on and everything, but more about that later. That'll be another video down the line, probably. But when I went into Corsair's PSU calculator and entered in the components that I eventually would like to get, on top of the fact that I'm going to be wanting to water cool eventually, going with at least 1000 watts, I thought was the way to go. So I decided to go with this component now, instead of spending money on an incremental power supply, spend a little bit more money and get something that's going to last for the future. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy open. Already. All right, just throw that out there. Let's take a look at this. Come on. Come on. There you go. Let's get it so it looks pretty. And then just gotta, there we go. Haven't trimmed my fingernails in a while. I guess they want to they want us to open this? How do you? What? Oh, that's how. I see. We have our manual. You know, that's obviously you don't need that. Warranty guide. What's the important safety information? They don't know me very well, do they? Alright, let's take a look here. Okay. You know what that is? That's the power cord. Zip ties. Okay, and screws. So, something for some cable management, one might say. Do not eat, throw away. Alright, I'll do that. I don't know what that was all about. Looks like these are our... Okay, little cut because kids came in. So, let's do this. Oh, the cables. Yes, that's where we were. All black. Very nice, very nice. Now, the thing that's nice... I mean, it's a pre-built computer. It doesn't have a window on it, so unfortunately... You know, we're not going to be able to see the beauty that is the graphics card or the cables. But nonetheless, I do like the fact that most fully modular power supplies, especially on the higher end of things, are going with all black cables. It just makes things look really nice. And in case I needed to, I have a little storage thing for the black cables. And then we have the main event, which is the power supply. Und ja, looks good, no? Yeah, Corsair HX 1000i. Good, yeah. I've probably offended so many people. I'm sorry. I'm doing it because I know it makes me look stupid. I'll put it that way. Yeah, fully modular. This is what I was hoping for. And now we begin the okay. Alright, just deep breaths. You can do this, 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 you can do this. I've never done this before, and these are really nice components. There are people out here who are probably like, he doesn't deserve it! He doesn't deserve it. He's never built a computer before, and this is what he's doing? He doesn't deserve it. Well, what are you gonna do? You can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can. Okay, so obviously we're back to where we were at the beginning of the video. It's been several weeks since I shot that footage, and in that time, computer runs really, really well. It is been stable, no issues, anything like that, and that is a huge plus for me because it gives me confidence in moving forward. Yay! Anyway. So what are some things that I feel like I did right? And what are some things that I feel like I did wrong and could improve on, and maybe some tips for other people who are doing this for the first time? First of all, I feel very proud of the fact that I measured the case itself, knew the measurements of the components that I was getting, so that they actually did end up fitting into the pre-existing case, that I checked the motherboard on the pre-built HP so that it was compatible with all the devices that I was putting it into, on top of the fact that once everything was plugged in, and it booted up right away. So I'm happy about that. Kudos to me. Gold star. Hey. Some issues that I should have thought through. First of all, although I knew the measurements of the components themselves, and although I knew that they would fit inside of the case, the one thing that I did not, the one thing I did not take into account was the fact that the power cables themselves, the cables would have to fit in that as well. So as an example, the prime example of this is the power supply. First of all, the space where they decide to put the power supply in the HP, I'm sorry. Engineering-wise, I understand. You are trying to fit as much into as small a space as possible so that you're not building a huge case, you're saving on money, blah, 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 blah. I get that. I understand that. But still, please, why did you put the power supply in the top, right behind the 5.5-inch quarter base? I mean, that... Anyway, so... Yes, the component itself would fit in, but it's right up against where the 5.5-inch quarter bays are, and you've got cables coming out of that, as well as coming out of the power supply. So there was like, I had to squeeze those cables in there, and it worked. It works. Is it the best for the cables? No. The nice thing to me is that eventually I'm going to be doing custom sleeving the cables and custom cabling in and of itself, which is going to be an adventure. I understand that. However, so I'm not relying on the cables that came with the power supply to last all the way through. I mean, they're fine. It's just it could look a lot better. The other thing is that I decided to just go ahead and leave that side of the case off, and so now it's open. There are a couple reasons I did that. One, all of the cabling, I can get the side on there, but it kind of bows that side panel. And two, because I just wanted to give it some better airflow, honestly. The HP cases are designed for all-in-one computing. That's it. You want to do some custom components in there and stuff like that, you really should get you should get a case that's made to do that, which is probably going to be one of my next things. Now, anyway, I could go on and on. So needless to say, if you are doing what I am doing, which is putting a discrete graphics card along with a new power supply into a pre-built case, make sure you not only measure the component itself, but also take into account that you've got a couple of inches for cable as well. So that's one thing that I would have done. Anyway, looking back on it, it was so much fun to do this. I look forward to doing it more. I look forward to showing you guys what it looks like now. Now, I realize that as you see games in the recording and as I play them and things like that, it may not knock your socks off necessarily because you may have a much better rig than I do, all things considered. But man, I've never had a discrete graphics card of this power before. So games look amazing to me, and I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to move forward. Look, if you liked this video, or if you like me, if you like this video, if you want to see more of this process, if you want to see more videos like this, show me by hitting the like button or hitting the subscribe. If you didn't like it, hit the not like button. Yeah, that's what it's called. The not like button. Yeah. Hit the dislike button. Let me know. Either way, in your comments, what things have you learned when you did your first computer build? Are there other things that I should have taken into account? What would you have done differently? Let me know. I look forward to reading your comments. And hey, if you want to subscribe, that means so much to me. Just letting me know that you think that I'm doing a good job or that you want to see more videos from me, that kind of thing. I look forward to interacting with you guys, getting to know all of you. And hey, let's do this again soon.